Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and we are doing a no-run-through review for Rise of Ix? Is it Ix?
Ix.
Okay. I'm like, I don't know. The newest expansion for Dune Imperium. If you want to know our thoughts and see the run-through for Dune Imperium, you can definitely go check that out. I'm going to sit a majority of this review out. Long and short of it, for me, didn't change anything. It has cool elements in the expansion, but didn't fix my overall problems with Dune. So I will leave it to the two people who do like this game and have a go from there. So what do you guys think of Rise of Ix?
I love it.
You're right, it is trash. All right, no. No, this is a good expansion for Dune Imperium.
Yeah.
I can very much agree with that, but specifics, go on.
It adds more...
I'm sorry, no, I'm kidding. I'm really kidding, go.
It adds more complexity, adds more cards overall.
Yeah.
This has moved it, I think I gave it an 8 whenever we reviewed it before, which probably
I think
was on the
so.
lower end. This is a 9, definitely, with the expansion for me. I understand why Tom Vassell says that he would only play with this expansion.
Mm-hmm.
The game would be weaker without it. To me, it's more interesting. You have more things that you can purchase, more things that you can do. The Spacing Guild track seems... I never focus on it, but it is very good. I think you cashed out on it at one point.
The interstellar shipping spaces?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have an abundance of spice and you get up all the way to the top, it's super useful.
Right.
Yeah.
You can basically outright buy a 4 token.
Oh yeah, that's true because you can get the 2 and then
the discount.
Right.
But overall, it's just more content and more complexity. This is one of my favorite games of all time.
These techs are by far the best part of the whole game.
Yeah.
I think.
Right.
These are really cool because they're a variety of different things. Either they're stuff you get at the reveal turn, there's stuff that you could get like endgame victory points. There's just abilities you get that could be really good.
Yeah.
Once again, though, for me, it's another set of randomness. That it's like you have randomness of the market, of not the spaces, but and then it's like, oh man, that's really good. Oh, I'm going last.
Yeah.
Hopefully, no one goes there. And but if you are able to go there, then yeah, because I had some cool stuff. Like the first one I got was, 3 influence or more on all 4 influence tracks, which is actually way harder than I initially thought.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, that's perfect because it synergizes with her ability, like her final delivery, because I
Right.
get to go up on tracks. But it was only for 1 point, and I gave up after I realized that. But the other 2 I had were on the reveal turn. If you get 4 combat if you have a seat on the High Council, which I was the first to do, and then a reveal turn +1 for each revealed card that provides 1 or more this turn. Really, I was only buying these because I needed 3 techs to
Right.
trash these, and I actually had an intrigue that gave if I had 3 techs. So I got 3 points just for buying those, and they were super cheap.
Yeah.
But
Right.
if you get these, then it's like, oh, now I'm gonna go combat.
And to bounce off of that, I find that having one of them is it's a little new thing, but towards the end of the game, whenever, especially if you focused on them and you have 2 or 3 or 4, then you're like, and I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this,
Right.
and I can do this, and you forget about it, but it becomes very quickly overpowered. You have to sink a lot of spice into it.
Well, what's neat about these, and then we'll have Zach chime in real quick. This is pretty much the only best part of this is kind of like the free actions that Arnak has. I know
Right.
not a lot of them have that, but most of them tend to. Either they're giving you resources, which is good, through just having them, or you can tap them or flip them for an ability without
Right.
having to spend a person. Like this one just gives you a warrior.
Yeah.
And if you can buy those, there's the kind of your engine where you don't have to spend a card. So there's times where you might be like, I don't know, did you have a card draw one? Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
The holo projectors where it's like, oh, I really need a fucking, green location one. All right, I'll flip this and I'll drop it. Because this one you had to discard a person, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if you have those cards that I can't find right now.
Or even
Where the hell
for
are
8
they?
spice getting a point, that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Right.
And it does other things.
Yeah.
It wasn't just...
Even the flagship, which I really wanted just for the point, but still
Right.
because
I never used that ability, but the point was good.
But you and I were building Solar, basically, engines. That flagship would have been great.
That's exactly what I was looking at, because I'm like, okay, she's all about Solara.
Right.
I need that, and I was a turn behind. Actually, no, I could have gotten it, but I didn't have green, so I couldn't go there. And so I just had to suck my own asshole.
It was the only part of the game I didn't focus on. Like, I was on combat, I was on my card engine.
You were playing the base game.
I was playing the base game.
Yeah, and realistically, like, we were neck and neck. Like, if you had
Right.
had a card that gave you a victory point, we would have tied, and then I would have still won. But
Yeah. Well, why would you have won?
'Cause I have a
Oh,
tie.
you have the one that breaks ties.
Right.
Yeah, I did see that one. Yeah. So these are the really cool ones. These are just randomly shuffled, right?
Yeah.
And then they're just spread
Yeah.
out. There's no
yeah,
particular.
there's 18 of them.
Okay. But I mean, like, fucking, there's so many in here. Like this one, the shuttle fleet, choose 2 to go on each track.
Right.
Or choose 2 and you go up on 2 tracks. But then round start you get 2 Solaris. So if it's her who gets it, she gets 3
Yeah.
because it's her turn.
Right.
So these are really cool.
They fit well with certain faction abilities.
Right.
And this is probably the more engine-y part of the game that you
Have
like.
control over.
I was going to say that, but then you still don't because you still need to be able to go there and you still need to be able to, like, there are times where it's like, oh, this one's pretty good, then one flips and you're like, well, fuck, that's even better for me, but unfortunately I can't get it.
Right.
But there are ways, like, to make them cheaper, which is nice. Or if you're like, okay, I don't have the Solar right now, I'll just go here, and then I can bank it to then...
Which, banking it seems weak, but it does pay off a lot later on.
Yeah, it can come in handy, especially... So then you can use this stuff for something else.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, if you have 6, and then you pull out the one that like, costs 6, like this one, for example,
Yeah.
then it's like, wait a minute, I have 6 banked here, or I go to this spot,
Yeah.
and I have 4 banked here, and then
There's cards that give you that ability that you can bank
Right.
stuff.
I saw a couple of those cards.
Yeah.
My Signet Ring ability can
Right.
allow me to do it. So
Lets
I
you
did
do
a
it.
couple times during the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like this one, it's like, okay, so now you're able to use those resources elsewhere.
Right.
Like, oh, I have 6, I'm just gonna, I mean, actually, hell, there's cards that let you just outright buy them. So then you can just buy them and still go to a different location and potentially be like, oh, well, I have 6 of the spice. Great, now I can still hold on to that 6 and then go get a bunch of people.
Right.
Yeah, the techs, without a doubt, are the best part of this expansion, I think.
Yeah.
Zach, what are your thoughts on the expansion?
So I liked it with the expansion. I probably would agree. I don't know that I would want to play just base anymore. Probably mostly because the deck of cards seems to be more useful. I felt like they added a lot of cards that helped you move up and down that track. Which to me, that was always the weakest part of base game. Was a lot of your points came from that track and combat. And you couldn't, like, there's like one guy who can probably focus exclusively on combat and maybe win the game.
Yeah.
And then everybody else has to focus at least a little bit here. But this always felt like the weakest part. Like, do you have the resources you need and the card you needed at the right time? But then with more cards to purchase to go up on that track, I think I ended the game with like 7 or 8 of 20 cards to go up on that. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
now I have the engine to actually make those work.
Yeah,
And now I
or-
can choose when to do it.
Instead of, if not cards that physically let you go there, there's cards that you just pay resources to be able to go up on the track.
Right.
Which going up on the track isn't inherently good. It just gets you a point. But
Right.
some of them, you need a particular influence. Like with the new expansion, the shipping to go to the top one, you need.
Yep.
At
Or
least you need
you
2.
still need the Fremen one to go there, which that one to me is pretty solid.
Yeah. You know what I would have liked? If those particular tracks, going up on them, gave you a particular resource.
Right.
Would be nice. Like, if you go up on, like, the Fremen track, you get a water.
Which you do, because
No, you have to go
more-
to those spots to get that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like, just actively going up on the track. And I guess they do, but you have to go up, what,
Kind
four
of, yeah.
spots?
Yeah.
And the faction that I mentioned, she gets a bonus whenever she goes up 2.
Yeah.
When she hits the 2 spot, she gets the bonus.
Does she get the bonus and the 2 points? Or and the point?
Yes.
Okay.
She gets to do that twice during the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just... I think the cards added are nice, but for me, I still think that the deck is too fluffed out, that if you're trying to build an engine, at least every single time I've played this game, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, it's either the engine I'm trying to go for is too slow, or if I need to speed it up, I'm not getting the cards that let me kill them, like, or thin it out.
Yeah.
So it's like, adding more cards to a deck builder is great only if you're taking stuff out. Like if you were to play, it's like, hey, if you're playing with the Rise of I want to say Z, the Rise of X expansion, remove these cards, and put those in so that it's synergizing better. But just being like, oh, you have a deck of 100 cards, here's 50 more. It's like, no, that's bad. You don't want a thick deck in a deck builder,
right?
But the cards that they do add are good,
right?
Like, and you said that they added more.
80%. 70 to 80% of the cards are faction cards now.
Right, yeah.
And that was part of... It was not a big issue, but a slight issue with the base game is you had cards that would play off of each other. If you have a Bene Gesserit card, then you get this bonus, but you can never find a Bene Gesserit card because it's based on randomness. Yeah. Now a much larger portion, because of those added cards, are faction cards, which was our original... Whenever I played it with friends of mine, their original minor complaint. Outside of that, there's abilities that fall in with the new... board spaces, and there's some more interesting, more complex stuff. That new card, there's a whole mechanic where you can discard cards or completely get rid of cards, so you can do that and get double bonuses from certain cards.
Yep. And I don't know if these are brand new. They might be as the 2 dot.
Yeah.
The expansion. Yeah. Whenever you actually buy them, you get a bonus.
Yeah.
Right.
I saw a few of those. Those were cool. There's some in here, and that's the thing. Is this game for me? And I can clearly see the engine. I can see cards. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Especially if you have this person, you can do this. But it relies so much still with the expansion on luck, and that bums me out because, for example, for her, she was all about getting extra. What is it, Solara?
Yeah,
Solari.
There's this card. It's not even new. I thought it was. It's Opulence. At the end, you spend 6 to get a point.
Right.
That's 2 turns for her just to draw this and be like, oh, here's a free point because now I don't have to rely on my final delivery. I can now do this to start getting point generation.
Right.
But then it becomes, oh, well, does it happen to come out? Do I happen to have 6 if you have a high council is almost guaranteed to be able to buy.
And if you're buying a 6-cost card, that's the main card that you're buying. You're not going and turning around and buying a Spice Must Flow card.
Sure, yeah.
But if you buy that, then it goes into your hand, then it has to get reshuffled into your deck, then you have to pull it out unless you have a special ability where you can put it on top. I think there's an ability somewhere where you can do that. But you basically, you're not going to get that for at least a round. You're not going to get it the round you buy or the following round, probably.
Which I will agree with most deck builders. I dislike the fact that most go to your graveyard versus back to your deck or...
Any deck builder that gives you the card effect either immediately or the guarantee you're going to get the card, almost always it's a point higher than games that don't do it. Yeah. Just because it's it doesn't even make any thematic sense why I don't get that card. It's what did I do to write a letter? And do they have to fly to me for me to be able to get this Opulence card?
Well, and you're comparing that to Arnak, where you're getting items in Arnak, and these are characters and stories, which it being a deck builder wouldn't thematically connect with.
Shadowrun Crossfire, you get cards immediately into your hand. There's others that do.
But you see what I'm saying? Cards, a deck builder as it is wouldn't thematically feel at home with. A lot of...
What I think we're just saying is the fact that there are deck builders that when you buy the cards, instead of going to your discard pile, they go straight into your deck or in your hand. So, I agree. I like those better because I'm spending these time and resources to get the card. So I spent and got probably the best card in the game, right? I got to play it once. And I was probably shuffling through my deck the fastest out of all 3 of us.
That's true, yeah, because you were drawing the most.
But there's a little bit of that that's a numbers game. If you're buying a lot of cards, then you're not going to pull it.
Right.
I'm fine with that. I understand the deck building portion of it, that can happen. But I agree, for me, I do enjoy a deck builder where my cards go somewhere where I know I'm going to get them sooner because I paid that cost.
Because typically
it's fair. It all goes to our discard pile, so it's not it's not it's hidden knowledge that it just goes to your discard pile.
Yeah.
But it's just a preference.
And most deck builders that I've played, and at this point I've actually played a lot, you're able to get your engine going. I can't think of a deck builder I've played unless Shadowrun Crossfire just sucks ass. But everything else, it's here's my deck, because there's active ways for you to thin it out. The game is almost basically telling you just, okay, fucking get rid of them. And this one, every time I've played it, it's a struggle to thin your deck. Unless you happen to build to thin your deck, but then you're not building your engine, you're building a deck thinner, and it's like, okay, but then now I have to hope I get those cards. Not saying it's not possible, I'm just saying that I can't fucking do it, apparently.
Because I'll say there's only one spot to do it on, right, so it's right there.
Yeah, I thought there was another one, but I think that is it, to let you draw to.
There's a lot of new cards that allow you to thin your deck.
Right.
And I formulated one in a solo mode, and I ended up getting like 5 of my base cards out. I always keep the cards that give you like 2 money towards buying a card.
Yeah.
Even though you can't place them because it's like that's extra cash towards the new cards. But that worked really well. But you also have to get a couple cards that'll help you do that. Like now those 2 cards are the ones that'll...
Yeah, the ones that we're specifically talking about that are expansion cards, like... I don't know who any of these people are. I did at this point, and for this review, I have seen the movie, so I'm like, oh!
The Rise of Ix characters are mostly focusing on the 2nd and 3rd books. Even the new some of the new characters, I think, are things that they're going to put in the movie. I don't recognize them. But a lot of the characters are like things that happen in Dune. I forget what the fucking sequel is called.
No idea.
It's been a few months since I read it, but
but yeah, like these ones let you give you a buying power and also let you go up on this track, or apparently let you just spend out. And then this guy gives you 1 and 2 swords and +1 for every other revealed card that provides a sword, or gives you a person, or lets you burn a card.
Right.
So I think what it comes down to, if you're going to have randomness with a market deck, I think you should also balance it out with a faster way to like get your engine going.
Yeah.
So that if it is random, then at least if you get a card you get or that you like that works for what you're trying to do, then you can do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean everything about the expansion is definitely an improvement on the game. I just have the worst luck. Like this game just fucks me every time.
Right.
Like I was last, and I was like, and I resigned myself to that. And then I'm like, okay, maybe it won't be so bad. I can go here and here. Those are good. Those are good. Nope, Zach took it. Fuck. Other Zach took it. Okay. So I was really hoping that the expansion would. Yeah, it gives you more places to go. Well, actually. It only gives you 2 places, because everyone was touting this as like, oh, it opens up the game so much, and I'm like,
I thought it was going to give like 4.
Spots. Where like if someone there's 1 more water spot, maybe that's what I was hoping, like for something like that, where it's like, oh, if you need spice, hey, here's another spot that you don't need extra shit to get spice.
Right.
Here's there's a water faction, the Fremen spot. That it's like if someone goes there. Maybe there's another spot to get water. You just can't place warriors at the same time. That's what I thought when people were saying it opens it up. It doesn't do that.
No.
And actually, Solari is even tighter now because you don't have that spot where you can transfer spice into.
Yes, and
which for me, I love. I think it's like very.
You love that spot's not in here?
Yeah.
I actually kind of agree because I felt like beyond turn probably 3, Solari is almost pointless.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying.
If you get one of these, I mean, those for me, and I like that you had like an engine going with this because I was playing the solo variant. The solo variant this costs 5, so it's just almost pointless to do.
Yeah.
But it still has some use.
Right.
In an emergency, if you don't have water, but you do have an abundance of Solari, it's good.
Wait, so you guys are saying you like the fact that spot was taken out that turned Solari into spice?
Yeah.
No, it's spice turns into so you spend spice for Solari.
Oh, you're right. It is. Okay, see, I thought it was the other way.
No. If it was the other way, I would love it.
That's what I thought. That's because I'm like, that's all shit.
But,
I see.
But my problem is that once you buy the Swordmaster or the High Council in the base game, Solari is basically worthless, and you have lots of spots that give you it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, I don't care about it anymore, so why am I doing this?
It's only useful for stuff.
That Dreadnought,
spot
useful. You can use 3.
Now
ultimately
helps,
6.
But to me, like, okay, you have 3 spots that take spice on here, which fine.
And those abilities are really good.
And the abilities are really good.
The Solari spots are not that good, except for, of course,
but
these
make
2.
one of these spots a Solari spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they're really good for very specific. This is a new character, Princess Yuna Moritani. Well, I'm surprised that it went with like a fantasy sci-fi name, because normally it's like Princess Jessica or something.
Right.
Princess Brittany. But like her ability, her signet ring was 7 Solari to go up on the track, get a worker and a spice. I'm like, that's really good.
Right.
Except it's not, because like anytime that I had Solari, I didn't have my ring. So then I was holding on to these resources for nothing. Mm-hmm. And then whenever I didn't have it, like I was like, you know what, fine. I think there was one time where I was like, I'm just going to finally spend this. Then I drew my signet ring, and then I'm like, great! Like, so now that card's useless. So I just kept getting dicked over every time I tried to do something with her.
It would be interesting if they do another expansion, if they had a spot that... I think a spot that just does your signet ring would be weak, but I think having a spot that has a signet ring on it would be interesting.
Like, if it was, like, you spend spice to, like, go there to also use your ability.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
That would be good.
Because at least... at that point, you're not relying on
us. Would be more often.
Yeah, and then, like, once again, this game has so much, for me, so much potential to have really cool engines.
Right.
Like, I could look through this deck, and that's why I'm saying I've only ever played this at 3 and 4, and I think that might be my problem. Because in a 2-player game, you're still at 0, so it doesn't shorten the game any longer. So then you probably have longer times to then get, at least, potentially streamline your engine.
Surprisingly, no.
Oh, really?
Because you have, in the 2-player game, there's a third random player that you flip over cards. They don't actually take these actions, but they do go to those spots.
They still take those spots?
If you play the solo variant, then they're doing things and you're competing against them. But
yeah.
Right.
I think your move at the track is just based on the other
I'd be curious to just be like, if you just didn't do that, Ghost player, if you just play that too, and you're like, let's just see what happens, because I mean,
I think it would speed up significantly.
At least it would feel freer. Another thing that they might...
I think you just have more resources, honestly.
Probably. But what I was also hoping from this expansion, when people were saying it opens it up, was kind of like a grande... a grande worker, that, like, you know how Viticulture has it, where it's like, oh, I have one worker that lets me go somewhere, that someone's already been. For me, that would be huge, just because... or change it to where it's like, okay, who's last? Like, everyone starts with the water. You're first player, that's all you get. You're second, you get a Solari, and I'm third, I get a Solari and a spice.
I don't know how many times
I don't know why they don't do that.
They did kind of, because they gave cards that you could buy where you could go where that worker was.
I need guaranteed actions, not, oh man, there's one card out there that lets you do that. I'm last player. No one's letting me have that. And then to get it, to guarantee I get it, I don't play. I sit here and go, pass, just so I can get it. And in a game that's so tight, you have to be efficient, so you have to use your workers. Which is fine, but it's like I would love the guarantee to just be able to do something.
Right.
And see, for me, like, even starting out the game, there are like 6... I mean, it depends on the cards that you get, but there's anywhere from 4 to over 6 viable options as far as your first move goes. And especially with this, I don't see water as being so mandatory. There was a very big going meta, and a lot of people who play this with just feeding yourself cards, which is a deck builder thing. Mm-hmm. But you don't necessarily need to always go for that, especially with this expansion having the X cards and even moving up to that.
Right.
Like, you could focus on that at the beginning of the game and then have a foothold on it before everyone else does, and then be able to get a powerful ability.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to hope that there was a powerful ability available.
Like, taking that top option, giving yourself 1 spice towards buying an ability, and then giving yourself buying power towards it is a viable move in the first round.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, what would also be cool about these is... I'm trying to think. Have you guys played Orleans?
Mm-mm. I haven't. I want to.
Okay. So in that one, there's tech tiles that are really good. There's level 1 and level 2 tech tiles. And you need specific actions, but you get to search through them. Mm-hmm. And you get to pick what you want. So depending on how your bag building, and depending on how the game's going, you can be like, oh, I want this one. And then that's your tech. I think that would be really cool here, because once again, like with everything else, at least, well, sorry, not everything else, but with the market deck, the tech tree, while still my favorite part of the expansion, could still be very luck-based. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you were like, oh, I would like to buy one of these, I want to search through this deck. Maybe pick one of the 3, because there's no reason why, I mean, except for the fact that there's 3 available. Like, there's no reason why you don't just pile them up and then just put 3 out.
Yeah.
I thought there was something unique about, like, how they were set up because you, like, evened it out.
Because once that stack runs out, they're gone. You don't.
I see.
Mix them out. That stack is empty then.
Gotcha.
Which would even be worse.
With the stack being empty?
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree. But it would be nice to be like, because then I think I just want to be able to do something in this game. And I never can. But it would be cool to be like, okay, this is kind of her build. I'm going to go here. Let me look through here.
It's
this
Euro
one's
game
really
with
good.
A lot of randomness.
And I think that's what throws it for me. Like, I can't, because it's like, oh, she's really good about getting Solari. Okay, I have 6 spice. Okay, I'll go here, or I'll go here and buy it, and you get to search through the deck. I don't know if that would be broken or not. Probably not, because then everyone would get to do it.
Right.
And so it's like, if you just, because going first or getting first dibs at something is huge, building up for that, and then you go here and buy something and be like, I have 6, gonna spend the 6, boom, there's that.
Yeah.
So once again, just kind of more ways to kickstart like an engine, and if everyone gets to do it, it might not be broken. But who knows? That's just because there are times whenever like the cheaper ones aren't really that great, and you have no way to cycle. So if there's 3 here that no one wants, then this is actually might as well not play with this, except for the Dreadnought.
Yeah.
But because there's no cap on these, but it's still like, I don't like any of those. I guess I'll go here, then I'll spend 3 Solari, get my Dreadnought, and buy
The only
one
time
of
I
these.
can see having any of those 3 tokens available and them not being desired is if you're towards the end of the game and they don't have like an instant benefit that you're getting.
Right.
Yeah. Well, do they all? No, not all of them
No.
give you an instant benefit.
I haven't seen a bad token on that board.
It's not that they're bad. It's just
They don't
that
help
they
you.
might not help what you've built for.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of because there were times where there were 3 available, and I'm like, none of those really help me.
One of
And
the
I
ones
think-
that was at the top was at the start of a round, gain 2 Solari.
Yeah.
Well, if it's turn 5 and we are 7, 8, and 6 points away, 2 Solari for the next 1 to 2 rounds probably isn't going to benefit me
But
all
that
much.
token also gives you 2 on this track.
It does.
That's a lot of what you're paying
Right.
for with that token. That's just an aside benefit. I bought that on a solo game that I played, and that was the big part of it, is getting 2 influence.
Oh,
The
yeah,
2
for
Solari,
sure.
I ended up with having like 17 Solari at the end of
Right.
the game. I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do with this, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, these are definitely balanced. Like if they're cheap, then their ability is. I mean, none of these are bad, but like Spice Satellites is 4, but it's 4 spice. Then you spend 3 trash to get a point, or at the end, worth 1 point for each faction where you have 1 or less influence, which is
Theoretically.
insane. Which is
Yeah.
what 4 points.
But so is the one where you have three influence
influence or
on
more.
each track. Like all of those, I think, are built to fit with a certain
Type of player.
yeah
And type of strategy.
player,
Type
type
of
of strategy.
card.
Because you may flip one over and you're instantly like, boom, I get a victory point, and that only cost me 2. But that's
Right.
because that fits your strategy. There's almost a token. Every token in there it'll fit a certain strategy.
right, but then it still relies on the fact that it has to come out at the right time.
Right. Nope.
And
that
I
is
actually
true.
had that one, 3 influence or more on all 4 influence tracks. But that's a significant, like, that's really what you're working towards. And I mean, I guess you're getting 4 points for
And
that.
you also get to move up a track.
You do get to move up a track the one time.
Yeah.
Which is another point, because if you're at 3 on all of them, the 4th one moves you to the token point.
Right.
So realistically, that means that 6 of the 10 points that you needed with 1 card by focusing on that.
Right.
Yeah.
But once again, to do this, you have to rely on the cards that let you do that.
Right.
And I guess I just didn't have those. So yeah, it's I think what I was expecting from this expansion was not what it was.
Yeah, it was not.
For me.
What I
For,
thought it was going to be.
And I mean, spoilers but I gave the original game a 6. And when people were spouting the expansion, while I would agree, always play with it, just because,
Why not?
I mean, why not? It doesn't overcomplicate the game anymore. It's not like, and it doesn't like drastically change it towards like, well, what the fuck is this, you know? I think I just like my worker placements and deck builders to where I get to do what I want to do instead of rely on a bunch of other things that maybe I'll get to do what I want. So the expansion didn't do that for me. So if anyone is watching this and they're in the same boat, then don't get the expansion. But at that point, I would also say you probably don't like the game
Dune
anyway,
Imperium
or you don't have Dune Imperium. It's not that I hate Dune Imperium. It's more just I would rather play any other deck builder. That's not true. That's not true. There are a lot of shitty ass deck builders out there, and it's not even the Lost Ruins versus this. Like, I mean, I'm fucking tired of comparing them because that's what everyone does.
Yeah.
But
get ready to do Ark Nova and Terraforming Mars because that's what's going to come next after this.
Right.
I know. It's like, can't just review the game for what it is. But people will look at both because, deck builder, worker placement, they both do that. Which one should I get? And comparing them is, of course, useful. But there's other worker placements or there's other deck builders that
are just better.
For me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, others might love the tightness or things just go their way. I don't know. But I've just had the worst luck every single time.
Right.
Other than that, this expansion didn't add a whole lot. Like, yeah, the 2 boards. This was still the same, right?
7 new characters, 2 boards.
Oh, yeah, the new characters.
New
what do you think of the new characters? Do you think they're better?
I think they're better.
You do?
I think all of them are better.
Like, would you never play with the originals again?
I would play with the originals.
Okay.
There are some, and I haven't really played a lot of...
Yeah, so I definitely did not play with my new one.
What did he do?
So, at the beginning of the game, I got to look at 2 in-treat cards and keep 1. That was his entire thing. And then spend 1 spice to go up on that track.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever I did.
Interstellar shipping.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't think that's that great.
Yeah. The one, it seems like...
Yeah, his innate ability is better.
Yeah.
But his signet ring ability sucks ass.
Well, except it feeds into it.
It seems like the one
it
complexity cards give you small benefits, but you get them a lot over the course of the game. Maybe not necessarily
Not this
in that
one.
situation. But you could if you played the signet ring a lot. It just depends. Because if you play...
Or if you have the cool promo.
Yeah.
And no one else does.
If you play
Hand
4
to my
spice over the course of the game, like if you get the signet ring 4 times, you're getting this track filled up and then dropping it back down, you're getting your spice back, and then you're getting the benefits for it. But
Right.
it's not necessarily bad. I don't know.
I'll say
It's not necessarily good either. But
one of the few things I did think about this game when we first played, it's like just base, just the very widespread power variance of different characters threw me.
Yeah.
Like for a Euro game, because I mean it's a Euro game. And I like individual power players in Euro games like a lot. But then these were like, oh wow, that's kind of swingy, like pretty major swingy. Like some are really good and some are
there's one
situational.
you almost got her again because we randomized it. The one that lets you card draw. Like it looks like Angelina Jolie, but it's not.
I got the one that allows you to place a character on blue or green spaces if
that's right.
if someone was already there.
Yeah.
Which I played with before, and I was like,
Right, you're like, I want to try the new one. But yeah, there's definite like player powers in this one that I'm just like, that feels way better than anything I got. I always got Dave Bautista, which we found out we were playing his signet ring ability wrong.
Right. Which would have made him better.
For sure. And then this one, you start the game with no water whenever you gain Solaria on your turn.
Which for you, that doesn't matter because you were like, I'm never going to get water anyway. So
Exactly, and lo and behold, I didn't. Ended with 2. But, I mean, even then, even though I felt like I was doing just fucking dog shit, I ended up, 4 points behind everyone.
Right.
Which isn't, like, horrible. Like, you can swing 2. I mean, I swung 3 points.
Right.
Like, in one turn. It's not impossible. It's not like... I was at 2 for the longest time, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, boom, boom.
I mean, I think Zach went up 4 points in that round. It's doable. And that's one thing I do like Dune for that fact is, I was leading, I think at 8, everybody was 6 or below.
And you can usually see it coming if someone's going to swing up. You can't see everything, but you can see a lot of it. Like, I knew that if you bought a spice card that we were going to tie.
Right.
Yeah, and then there was a time where I was actually... I was 2 points behind that final fight. And it's like, okay, maybe... But...
And I was really hoping that you were going to win that fight.
I thought I had it because I didn't see one of his cubes.
Yeah.
But I didn't have... Actually, no, I had exactly what I needed. I just didn't have the cards that let me go there.
Right.
To get more people out. And so it was like... And that's kind of the thing where it's like, well, I would sure love to be able to fight in this combat, but you guys have taken all the spots that I could potentially go to include myself in this combat. And the cards I have left in my hand, because you were like, oh, well, you can go to the water spot. And I was like, no, I can't. Like, it's I don't have the cards.
Right.
And it's like, I know they're in my deck, but I guess I'm just out of this combat.
But you could have went... are you talking about this last turn? You could have went purple or orange, right? Blue is open. Well, Fremen is open.
Well, the only way I was going to do any good was I had to get my Dreadnought out.
I will agree with Zach. If you need to get Swordmaster, or you need to start buying whatever the other one.
And I had the Solari to go get the Swordmaster. But I was trying to use her try and build her engine with her thing, because I also my very first tech was the one to get 3 up on the tracks. So I was trying to go that route. So I was like, well, I better save these, because I can't remember. Is this a one-time thing?
No, you can do it multiple times.
Okay, so if I had 21 Solari, I could have just spent all 3.
Every time you do it, you can only do it
once. Okay.
Yeah. But you can do it multiple times if you get that card.
The card back, yeah, okay. That's what I thought. I never did that, but I was like, that'd be neat if it's 7 costs. Oh, I have 14, because I think I had 14 at one point, but I was like,
right, that would be
pretty sure I can only do this once. Because then that would make it, for some Signet rings, a lot better. Yeah. If you take the time to save up, and since you get your Signet ring... I mean, a few times a game, then it's like, oh, boom, okay, here's 14, because then that would make Solari locations better, you know, because you can rack them up and there's nowhere to fucking use them halfway through the game. Then if you could multi-use it, because that'd be pretty neat. Be like, okay, 14, go up on a track twice, or 1 on 2 tracks, and then get 2 warriors and 2. Like, that'd be pretty neat. They probably forgot to say that. Just like they messed Dave Bautista's Signet ring up. I probably just got another one that they didn't specify. But I don't know. And yes, I could have gotten my 3rd worker. That might have helped me win that final fight, because I was only 2 behind. I had a shit ton of extra combat. And whenever I had the Solari, I'm like, well, I don't have a green to go there.
No, I was hoping to win that combat, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to get to 10 points this turn. And I was like, I have enough spice to take that. You'd start first turn, so I'm going to hit that spot before Zach does. Yeah. I'm saving all my soldiers. Zach has to pour soldiers into this fight to guarantee he wins this one.
Yeah.
And I think then I can win if it goes one more turn.
Yeah. It'd be nice if there was also like a trading, right. I mean, there is it's spice for Solari, but if there was just like a natural kind of thing that maybe the expansion added to open it up a little bit more, to where you don't just have a pile of nothing.
And that's where you could build a different engine. In base game, I felt like Solari after turn 3, I would just get it because he did stuff that just gave it to you, and it was like, well, that's pointless because there's nothing I can use it for.
Because I don't think there's any. Well, actually, I think the expansion added cards that gave you Solari to spend. I could be.
Which again, to me is fixing the problem that they realized in the base game.
Who is this? Who is this guy?
Gurney Halleck?
No, I don't care about his stupid-ass name. What is his? Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, he lets you spend 3 Solari, but that's from the original. Maybe there isn't like a whole lot of cards from the expansion that actually let you do it. So that one does. Well, that just gives you 3 more.
Right.
So yeah, I guess. They did a lot of stuff with Fremen. They made Fremen really strong, going Fremen Bond. There were lots like Fremen Bond. Oh, 4 swords, 5 swords.
They all focus on combat.
Yeah.
That's
because they're the
combat
they're the rebels,
so
right?
Yeah. Right.
Hey, the movie helped explain that, because otherwise I'd have no idea. And there are some, 3 swords for each of your dreadnoughts in the combat. It does feel like a lot of the new expansion cards did want you... I mean, or this one, 6 Solari for a point.
Why you just
Actually, that's another card. What's that? Full-scale assault. That's another 8-cost card. I haven't even seen that before.
Huh? Oh, is it... Oh. Yeah, this is an expansion. Lets you go to the black, and then so 2 warriors, 2, 3 for each of your dreadnoughts in the conflict.
You get a free dreadnought. I'd still rather have Quetzal's Hatterack,
Yep,
but
I would rather have
yeah,
that one.
that one's pretty good though.
But I mean, for your particular guy, dreadnoughts have
That would've been really
4
good,
strength, and then you just get a free dreadnought.
Yeah.
What is kind of weird though is that whenever you spend a dreadnought, they have dual purpose. If you win it, you can actually make them become a flag. But then all it takes is someone else to just block you, and you're like, okay, I guess that's gone forever. That's kind of stupid. Like, I don't think that makes even any thematic sense. It's like, okay, why can't we just retreat? Why can't I? Well, it's like if at least not go back to your fleet, at least come back to where you can buy it.
I think it's thematically that you're occupying one of those spaces. Like you're occupying. I mean, that's what the flags are. So the ships are occupying. You have like a.
But the dreadnoughts are worth more than the flags are. So
yeah, I can't imagine though that you would ever want to put a dreadnought on the spot because
what is weird is like, so if you take the spot right with a dreadnought, you just don't put a flag down and your dreadnought comes back. Right. I mean, I get thematically.
Yeah.
But the dreadnoughts are powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot of the expansion cards almost wanted you to fight more. They gave you a lot more swords, and then the dreadnoughts came in. So you should always be viable to participate in combat. But it's like, and so you don't have to always have a bunch of people in there to actually kind of win, which in the base game was definitely the case. More people basically guarantee to win unless you happen to be like, ooh, I have these influence cards, you lucky me.
And that was one of the things I did notice, because they did take off the spot on the green track right there to spend, was to buy more warriors.
You got more warriors, you just couldn't deploy them, you're right.
Right.
They did take them out.
And so I thought that was kind of interesting.
It's because they did this. And the dreadnoughts. The dreadnoughts basically, one dreadnought almost nullifies that one position.
Right.
And it's actually cheaper. So you get one less warrior, but you spend one less Solari, and you can potentially get a tech.
But your dreadnoughts are also one less, strong. So it's actually quite a bit less strong, because the dreadnoughts are only 3 guys, 3 power.
Yeah.
And those
that's right.
soldiers are 8.
Each. True, but they die.
Right.
Your dreadnought doesn't.
Right.
And so it does feel like
it's an interesting balance.
It is, and I think I could have at least won maybe 1 or 2 more combats, but there were times that I just didn't. I wanted to do her thing.
Right. It would be funny to see a game of 4 people that just had 2 dreadnoughts and everybody put in like poker. Who's gonna do it?
Well, I was almost curious. It's like, can you win this game if no one goes combat? Because you tried to play Arnak without abandoning the research track, and Zach and I did that, and then you lose because it's like it's either no one does research track or everyone does it.
I've seen,
and this one it's like, what if no one does combat?
I've seen 2 wins from 2 different people never winning first place in combat.
Okay.
I think Peter won.
Really?
With never focusing on
that would be
combat,
rough.
I think. But you have to heavily focus in this.
Right.
And then it's easy. If you move up in all this, then it's easy to get 2 more points.
I'm also curious if in that particular case, if people were trying to win in combat. Because that almost seems like, I never touched combat. It's like, well, no one else did either. Or if like you won 1, I won 1, that person won 1, then it's like one person isn't winning and getting all the points. Which is how it really should be going. I
mean, I got at least 3 points and people didn't put up a strong fight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you like overkilled it. You were like 14, and that's the thing is the combats that came. Did it add any more conflict cards? The expansion?
Yes,
it did. That's good. But with I guess I tried to make her thing work. Maybe you just can't make their abilities work. At least not their signet ring abilities. Because that's what I actively focus on. Because there were times where I'm like, yeah, I could go and get and probably win out. At least on a few, but then I was like, well, I actually just want 2nd place because that gives me 7, things, and I can aim to do that. So I then actively try the fight, and once I realized this isn't working, it was already too late.
Right.
And I'm like, maybe I can win 1 more, and then no.
Yeah, there were definitely a couple fights.
I got close, 2 behind, but
right.
I was already just fucking demoralized at that point.
Yeah.
So I'm in the same boat. Like, as I was with regular Dune Imperium, the expansion didn't lessen anything for me. It didn't also blow my mind. Oh my god, wow,
Yeah.
but I could definitely see, if you love Dune Imperium, absolute, yeah, probably a must expansion.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just one, because everyone has I don't
see how it can't improve the game. Like
the expansion. You're right. Yeah.
I think it's objectively, even if slightly, like depending on your point of view as far as the game goes, I think it's a better game with the expansion.
100% agree. It's definitely a better game with the expansion.
Yeah, without a doubt. I don't think they ever will. Like, everyone has their game that it just doesn't work for them for one reason or another. Maybe this is it, but they could always release an expansion, and it's like, you'll have to tell me and be like, Seth, no, I promise. They have a grande worker, or they have something you get to do.
I think we all have super popular games. I never liked The Crew.
I
don't understand why The Crew's popular. I tried it. I
think it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't like trick taking all that much.
Yeah.
So the only thing I thought about The Crew that was kind of cool was the fact that it's a cooperative trick-taking game. Because I just never thought about it. It's like Mantis Falls. It's 2-player social deduction. Blew my mind with just the idea that exists.
Right.
So The Crew being a trick-taking game where it was cooperative kind of blew my mind. It's like, because I played lots of trick-taking games growing up. They were never cooperative. They were super cutthroat.
Yeah. I played them and I was
family
like,
arguments.
I fucking hate this. Like, Grandma, can we just play poker, please?
Right.
Right. And so, to me, that's where I wouldn't say I was like, oh, I want to play that game all the time. But it's like, I can respect it for doing something I thought would never be able to be done.
Yeah.
Right. To me, it was funny because it is the same company that made Clank.
Yes.
Direwolf.
I don't know if it's the same designer.
I really don't think it is, but it is the same company. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, because I played Clank in Space, and then I played Clank Legacy, and I'm like, I fucking hate this game.
Yeah.
Like, Clank makes me so mad because it's like, it's just too random.
Yeah.
And for me, I want my Euros to be super tight. Like, if we're playing like a true blue Euro, like, let's go fucking hard. Let's play a Beetle game. It's your strategy. It's your strategy versus everyone else's strategy, and that's going to edge out and be the winner. In this, it's like, it's your strategy. Also, hopefully it's turn order, luck of the deck, luck of the draw. It's a little bit too much for me, to where it just kind of is more infuriating. And in worker placements, if you're going to have a tightness, even though the expansion does add more locations, it still kind of came down to, well, I need this to be able to do this. I can't now do that. And so there's nothing else for me to do because my cards either didn't give me the location I need or someone took it.
Yep.
So, not a fix, but a really, really good expansion. With that being said, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you guys give the expansion? And then also if it improved the base game for you. We'll start with you.
This for me is a 9, close to a 9.5, honestly.
The base game or the expansion itself?
It with the expansion.
Okay.
I think the base game is like an 8, and this brings it up to a 9 for me.
Yeah.
It's funny. This is, I think I don't think I've ever reviewed anything as a 9 as far as how we've reviewed anything. We played Libertalia before this. That's also a 9 for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one of my favorite games. It's one of my favorite new games. I don't know. Probably my top game of 2020.
Yeah. This I can tell you it didn't make the worst list. Whenever I did it,
right? Yeah.
Like I wasn't sitting there like ooh because it's not it's not a bad game. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Like Steam Watchers and shit like that. Those are bad games.
Yeah.
Right.
For me, Dune Imperium is a 6, which everyone thinks is like the worst rating ever, mainly because Dice Tower's like 8s are okay games for them. Dune Imperium is still that's a slightly above average game. Rise of Ix, I'd probably give it, like, as an expansion, I'd probably give it an 8. Like, I think it's a really good expansion. I always love special power, like tech trees. Like, I can see it. I can see what the cards do. And I can see cool engines. I just can't get them to fucking work.
Right.
So, the fact that they are there, and if everything falls into place, you can have a really cool, boom, boom, boom game. And so the Rise of Ix definitely gives that, especially with the ones that have more synergies with having factions.
Yeah.
More of those. are cool. The dreadnoughts and it feels like they want you to fight more, or at least be a contender in fights. Because I remember the first 2 times we played this, combat was almost always a landslide. Someone always won by a shit ton.
This makes it more tight, and it also gives you the ability to just put in a dreadnought and leave it at that, and then see if people try to edge you out, or if they force you to lose that.
Yeah.
'Cause if they force you, you potentially get a victory point or something, and like.
Or even just a dreadnought and a soldier, because that's pretty beefy just to begin
5,
with.
yeah.
That's 5 points.
I mean, and it's not hard to get warriors out. Like
Right.
it's very easy. It's hard to get a lot of them into one spot unless you have certain cards to let you do it. Because this one just gives you 5 warriors, but you can still... Oh, you can dump all those
You
into
can
one
play
spot.
those and then do 2 more.
That's right.
Technically after
Yeah,
that.
because I was looking at that spot and I was like, oh, that's how I'll win. But I think you took it before me.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn it. So the dreadnoughts are cool. The fact that they do come back is nice because that would just be annoying as hell if you had to keep... Which, I mean, thematically, it doesn't really make sense why you can't... Why they stick around, but...
Come here, soldiers.
I guess.
Right. Especially soldiers like the one time I fought and nobody else joined in the fight. And I was like, so why do mine die?
Oh yeah, that was like the first. It was the first round. You went in and it's like I guess they die, and I'm like, yeah, I guess they do. But even then, it's like because what was kind of annoying, and this is obviously a base game rule, but like the ones that give you sword, how you still have to have someone in there.
Right.
But it's like why can't these just be arbitrary like
Swords.
warriors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like okay, I still passed. Like why can't I get the combat strength?
Yeah.
It's like. Well,
Yeah.
because no one's using it.
I think
you mean
you
there's
have to-
if I put one guy in, I can get 15 fucking combat,
It
just one
forces
dude.
you to invest in a combat action.
Yeah,
Like,
Right.
Combat actions are kind of limiting, so potentially if you did that, I guess you could load up your deck, which maybe is a possible thing. I mean, I'd have to like gear the
Yeah.
deck to potentially gear your decks so that you can have
I mean,
a bunch of swords. and
I know
everything.
I know there's cards like the cards that I happen to have would have worked great with your pass, where it's like you get to then
Right.
garrison someone out. And if you're going this track, that lets you pop people, like
Right.
you just drop them. So it's like once again, the engines are there. I just think they're very very slow. Or if they're not slow, they require you to be able to go to a very specific spot to then pop it off, and I just don't get that luxury.
Yeah, I agree. So that's why I would say this is a 7 for me.
The expansion.
All of it combined.
Okay.
Yeah, the expansion. I don't think it improved. Like, I wouldn't play now Dune without it. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that just made Dune Imperium a significantly better game. Mm-hmm. It made it more enjoyable for me, but I don't think it fixed the problem that the base game had.
Yeah.
And when I want expansions, I want either new content or I want to solve a problem.
Yeah.
With a base game. And I don't feel like this gave me either
Right.
options.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, I will say Dune Imperium by base game was a 6. The expansion does bump it up to a 7. But that is probably where it will forever lie.
Right.
And it's a 7 mainly in me being generous because I don't really want to play this again. I've had 3 experiences where I just am miserable.
Yeah.
And I have hundreds of other games, hundreds of other worker placement deck builders where I'm not miserable while playing it.
Right.
Even if I'm doing ass, I'm still like getting to do stuff. It's like this game is like you're playing against a water magic deck, a control deck. Everyone else is getting to play except or he's getting to play but no one else is. That's kind of how this is for me. You guys are getting to do what you want to do. I don't. Happen with whenever it's us 3, whenever it's the 4 player, whenever it's me, you and Karini.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just like,
Yep.
are you guys playing control decks? Like, what the fuck? Why don't I get to do anything? So,
It would probably be a 9 if it was less random for me.
Yeah.
I like
at least
the
if you're gonna have
concept.
have guaranteed actions,
Right.
Like one or the other, where it's like,
Whoever solves the problem of getting rid of randomness, however you want to mitigate that. Because, like, Castles of Burgundy, I love the fact
yeah, that
that
game
you
is really
have the tokens that give you plus or minus your dice.
Mm-hmm.
It mitigates randomness.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
it's still there, but also in
Right.
Castles of Burgundy, you have multiple ways to get those tokens.
right. There's lots of ways. In this, I'm like, no, there's not
Yeah.
really a way for me to mitigate randomness. It's, what do I have? I can buy the cards to try to help it, but there's at least one full turn was like, okay, I have 2 symbol cards, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, definitely to each their own.
Right.
I think because there was a time the eight card I had exactly enough, and I'm like, that'll be a really good one. Okay, card draw, and Zach passed. Okay, like every single time, just getting kicked in the dick.
Right.
So, I guess you'll have to play it solo because no one else wants to.
There's people who like it.
No, they don't like you.
Well, we're gonna have to play it still.
All right, so that's our thoughts on the expansion for Rise of Ix. Let us know what you think of the expansion and the game in general in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.